Well, happy Monday, everyone. We're going to do some metta bhavana today, and it's a little bit of a follow-on to last week in terms of how I'm going to present in terms of leading through a meditation, but the teaching will come. There are some thoughts that I have about the metta bhavana that follow on from last week's work with mindfulness, and we were particularly focusing on vedana or feeling tone. Um, I think maybe one thing to start, as you set yourselves up, make sure that you're comfortable. It's just as we're setting ourselves up for meditation, why are we meditating? Why are you here? So presumably there's something about meditation that you think will bring you some benefit. So what kind of benefit are you looking for? And hopefully by now we've all got some kind of realistic idea of what meditation can do for us in the short term, help us get through the day, but also what it can do for us in the long term in terms of maybe we even have spiritual goals that we want to address, or psychological goals, sociological goals. The metta bhavana can address a lot of these things. But at its heart, it's a spiritual practice in terms of taking us beyond ourselves, expanding what we can become. So perhaps if we think about motivating ourselves to get to the practice, think in terms of long-term and short-term goals. It's always like having a vision for your life. I think sort of having that vision is really important, and if it includes something altruistic in your goals, in your vision for yourself, then that's ideal. I mean, in a way, that's what the metta bhavana starts to address. So as we bring ourselves to the meditation, just letting those goals be. They don't work too hard about that. And don't think too hard. It's just what's present for you in bringing yourself to meditation today. What might happen in the next hour that will be of benefit. And if you keep doing this, if you keep meditating, what's the long-term goal? In terms of the shape one gives one's life. We don't just get through the day and be a little bit more positive, but in the longer term, a sense of that we can become more. We can become more than we currently are. Change is inevitable. We're always changing. But with meditation, we can give a little bit of a steer. We can start to create, have a little bit more of a creative input in the way that life unfolds. These are all good reasons to meditate. So as those thoughts and perhaps even emotions are floating around about the reasons for being here, How do we know how we are? How do we know how we are? And what we know is sensation and feeling. Every sensation has feeling tone. Some sensations are very pleasurable, some sensations are painful, and most of them are somewhere in between. In a way, this is how we come to know what our experience, sensation and feeling, and knowing that's how it is. And sensations and feelings from the body, the most tangible place to start. Perhaps noticing the sensations of contact with the ground, whether that's through a chair or a cushion, maybe some sitting directly on the floor, maybe feet or legs resting on the floor. There are sensations, and then there's knowing whether those sensations are pleasant or unpleasant or somewhere in between. It's enough just to know that basic contact with the ground. The legs, perhaps lying down, there's the back surfaces in contact with the ground. Just gradually spreading the attention upwards through the body, through the legs and feet, pelvis, into the spine and the torso. If you're upright, and if you're on the back, then it's that slowly letting the awareness arise from the back surfaces through the spine, into the ribs, into the organs, through the legs, back of the skull, working towards the front, the neck working towards the throat. And in both cases, the sense that the spine is lengthening and at ease. And a sense that whatever we become aware of in the body will tend to relax. And as the body tends to relaxation, it tends to create more pleasant feeling. Whenever there is difficulty or discomfort in the body that can't be resolved by adjusting the posture, then just know it, don't push it away. It's not wrong, it's just an experience that's happening now. Just be patient with it, show it some kindness. And just continuing up the body, halfway, 3/4 of the way up. picking out details in the bones, in the muscles, in the organs perhaps, particularly as you get to the head, the ears, the eyes, the nostrils, the tongue. The neck. It's always good to take a moment to attend to the neck and the throat and the face. Not forgetting the arms and the hands. A sense of the whole body at once, being breathed, held in this awareness that has an appreciation of the pleasurable sensations and patience and kindness towards the difficult sensations and interest in everything in between. And there are smells of the room that you're in, the aroma of the air coming into the nostrils. There's taste in the mouth, perhaps an aftertaste of coffee or lunch or something. Sounds, light falling through the eyelids if they're closed, color and form if they're open. And there are thoughts and there's emotion. And all of this can be pleasant. Any of this can be pleasant or painful, but probably mostly something in between. Appreciation of what is pleasant, patience and kindness for what is difficult, and interest in everything in between. So we know how we are. And we can let that appreciation and kindness and patience start to form into loving kindness. Loving kindness includes all of this. Appreciation of the pleasant and patience for what is difficult. It's all kindness. And perhaps it's enough to simply work directly with experience like this. Fine-tuning the heart, fine-tuning the awareness to be filled with kindness and love, appreciation, patience. Or stimulating the heart with phrases such as "May I be well," "May I be happy," "May I live safely and in peace." I progress? May I find meaning and significance in this life. Or perhaps there's an image that you find helpful, or a memory that can evoke kindness in the moment. I'm going to spend a while on this first stage. So whatever method of loving kindness practice we choose, trying to be direct with our experience, knowing the pleasant aspects, knowing the difficult aspects, and being interested in everything in between, and suffusing the whole thing, drenching the whole of experience with kindness. This is the Buddha's teaching on kindness, is to permeate everything with our loving kindness all the time. So we start with the direct experience of what is close to hand. Grounding the whole thing in the direct experience of body and feeling and knowing really stabilizes the practice and develops the concentration. But not to be concerned if you have to reset your attention frequently. That's the practice. Just keep coming back. We strengthen that muscle of kindness and presence by continuously, over and over again, adjusting and bringing ourselves back. Let's move into the second stage, calling to mind a good friend. And just as you directly experience what's happening with you, you call to mind a good friend. How do you experience them? And what's the response of the heart to them? It's bringing them into awareness, bringing the sense of them into the heart and mind. Permeating, permeation, that suffusing with metta starts to include them. What helps bring the image of them into some kind of stable experience? Is it the sound of their voice, an image of them, a picture, the feeling of what it's like to be in their presence, the sound of their laughter? What's it like to be with this friend? Permeating the image of them, suffusing them, extending this loving kindness. Don't worry too much if the mind wanders, it will do. You just keep coming back. And if it's possible, just keeping this work simple and direct. Direct response of the heart. Simple image of the friend. Let that good friend fade for a while. Take a breath, check in, rest. And call to mind a neutral person. So check the kindness, one's own attention, one's own heart. If you call to mind the neutral person, it's responding to them as another human being who seeks happiness, who wants to avoid suffering, just wants the best for themselves. So bringing them to mind and seeking to sustain the interest. You just want the best for this person too, even though you don't know them at all well. Keep bringing them back. And let that neutral person fade. Take a breath. and call to mind somebody you actually find difficult. And just in the same way as with our own experiences that are difficult, the sensations and the feelings that are difficult, you just hold them with a patient, kindly awareness. You do the same with the difficult person. We don't try and change them. We don't edit out their annoying qualities. Just bring them to mind as they are. We don't deny our difficulties with them. We let them be there. But what we do is suffuse the whole thing, permeate the whole situation with a kindly awareness. And kindness isn't always happy. Kindness isn't always pleasurable. It can be difficult, it can be challenging. But in the challenge and the difficulty, it can also be positive. That sense of orientation and direction, of kindness, can change the situation, even if it's only in our own heart. It's quite a radical practice in that way. Being sensitive to not squeezing out the kindness for oneself in this, so if it gets overwhelming, just let them fade for a little while. Come back to yourself and begin again. If it gets too discursive, again, come back to yourself, come back to the body, your own direct experience before beginning again. And let that difficult person fade for a moment. Check in with oneself. One's own basic orientation. Gather up any scattered parts. As we move into the last stage, bringing everybody together. Meeting each of the four people directly, oneself, friend, neutral person, difficult person, just as they are individually, but also as a group of humanity, a little pocket of humanity. Some of which we find pleasurable in our friend, some of which we find difficult or challenging in the difficult person, and some of it is just plain neutral. Permeate the whole situation with kindness. And expanding outwards in your own time. Be realistic. How far outwards can you go today? Maybe the whole planet, maybe the whole universe, or maybe the whole of the building that you're in. Or the street is far enough. It's just keeping this basic orientation of expanding outwards, permeating, suffusing everything with as much loving kindness as there is, even if it's not very strong. Whatever we give, whatever we have, we can give, even if it doesn't feel like much. Make a generous offer. Is it possible for this last stage to be less me in here and them out there, and more just there is this love, there is this kindness, and it permeates everything. No boundaries. And gradually letting go of any effort that's being made, and rest. Take some moments to absorb the effects of the practice.